Hi guys, welcome back to Underwater Astrology. Excuse the sound from upstairs if you hear anything. I think there's construction going on. But I'm going to give you this next week's forecast for all 12 zodiac signs. I want to say this is not an easy week. We have the South Node in Libra in the 25th degree, which is all about life and death. I went there. Yeah, it's not easy. This degree is like telling us that we have so much. For some of us, we have grief and trauma that's coming up from the Mercury in retrograde in whatever sign it's aspecting. And that quincunx to Chiron. So we are literally being literally being triggered every day to realize that we all need to be moving towards North Node Aries. And that's not easy. This is a really weird quincunx. The Mercury in retrograde, quincunx, Chiron in Aries, quincunx, North Node in Aries. North Node in Aries is at the degree of the 25th degree. And we'll talk about that degree. But it really is interesting. We're starting off the week September 1st to September 7th. And by the time we get to September, like a little bit, if you guys could just be patient with me, I will give you the observation on when we are out of the 25th degree of South Node, and we are out of the 25th degree September 27th. So until September 27th, is it really September 27th? Until September 27th, we are going to be in the most stressful period of our lives. I wish I could say this is a really nice time to go back to school and everything's adding up, but we've been prepared because of this quincunx to go into healing. So by this time, everybody's healed from something from that Mercury in retrograde. We still have the Mercury in retrograde till 15th. Right? Jupiter in Taurus is not the same Jupiter Taurus as we're used to, because we are dealing with a Mercury in retrograde, a Venus in retrograde, right? We're also dealing with a lot of other stuff. And if you can be patient, everything's okay. But if you're constantly rushing, because Uranus is going into retrograde, Uranus is in retrograde, okay? Neptune's in retrograde. Venus is in retrograde. Pluto's in retrograde. Saturn's in retrograde. Mercury's in retrograde. We have almost everything in retrograde apart from Mars. Of course, there's going to be feelings of stagnancy. There's going to be feelings of low self-worth, right? And this week, we're approaching the Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. So, of course, there's going to be feelings of, why is all of a sudden I feel this energy of like, I am deeply out of touch with my reality. I'm deeply out of my senses. Nobody understands me. This is the worst horoscope we could have this week. It is the worst. And I don't want to be mean or anything, but I want to be real. Because of this Mercury quincunx Chiron, it's going to be, you have to go to every extreme to realize you need to sit the fuck down. You need to read a book on trauma in the body. You need to eat twice as much. You need to stop worrying about how you look. You need to focus on staying clean, and you need to get enough sleep. Because other than that, everything's uncontrollable. When this woman texts you back, when this guy texts you back, when somebody is going to do something nice for you, for some of you, your job routine, for some of you, your house situation, for some of you, your Medicaid bills, for some of you, your dental bills, for some of you, just knowing what's happening in the next 10 years, everything's up in the air. Because we are human beings. And as much as we want to predict the future, and as much as we want to be like, I know exactly what's going to happen with this person, sadly, we are all human beings, and human beings deviate. We're not cyborgs. I'm not Google. You know? And that infectious feeling is definitely pointing at the Mercury in retrograde. And that's why it's so intense. Is because Virgo wants you to be perfect. So we have Sun in Virgo. We have Mercury and Virgo in retrograde. And we have money there. So all this theme of energy, and of course, you can't put your money where your mouth is this week. You'd be in debt. So it is about eating more. It is about really, really making sure that root is nice and functioning to move forward. The themes this week with the Sun in Virgo will go into every sign, but pretty much it's going to be deep. I'm going into the depth. I'm going underwater for you guys. And it's not Atlantis, it's the underwater astrology empire. For all of you guys who are just dealing with that uneasy energy of not knowing if things are going to be resolved, this is the week where you have to just sit back and chill. Venus is stopping in 12 degrees Leo. Okay? I don't want to sit here and be like, everybody's love life is going to exponentially, like, get so much better this week. I don't want to sit here and be like that. I don't want to sit here and be like, the universe is going to point to some very intense things before you can even think about the vibration of want. The universe is going to point everyone back to the vibration of need. And that is when you find your soul tribe, because I do believe the paradigm we're in, I do believe the paradigm we are in is very different. This is a very different paradigm we're coming into. We were in a paradigm where it's more about like outer appearance, like Grammys, that kind of thing, watching that, entertaining that, this kind of like other life of we're this and other people are that, like more hierarchy. But as the Neptune in Aquarius and Uranus in Aquarius, kids are getting older, it's much more about understanding like that we all have our inner celebrity in this new paradigm of how we value ourselves and how we choose to take care of ourselves. Trying to live in a paradigm of hierarchy will be very difficult. A lot of us are just really, really, really sick of hierarchy. A lot of us are really sick of feeling like I don't deserve to live this lifestyle because I'm not this enough, or I don't have this in my bank. And there's going to be a homogenization of need over the next 5 years. I couldn't understand why we would go the other direction when kids are being born with vibrations that need to be recognized, or else it's life and death this week, South Node Libra. Sadly, the maturity is pointing at we need to realize that there are kids who are being born with indigo, magical crystal energy that needs to be recognized, and that means we need to ground, get in our body, and realize how can we be inspired by that new energy. So the North Node Aries is 25 degrees, and it's all about basically this kind of persistent reaching of your goal and realizing there may be rejection and like hidden promises. So like if, for example, for some of you applying for jobs, or for some of you trying to go after someone, or for some of you trying to attain new spiritual idealism in your life, this is a great week to be like, even though you didn't finish the book, or even though you didn't finish a completion project of something, that little feeling of emptiness can be alchemized into this feeling of understanding that there's a hidden promise and even something you've paid money, attention, vibration to. So it's like really complicated because it's really spiritual. We're in a really spiritual reality, and Venus is sitting in 12 degrees this week, and it's not moving. Venus is not moving. PSA. Venus is not moving. So what does that tell me? This is the time when it tells me that we have to sit back and really review the connections we've made, which are sketchy and which are not. When Venus is not moving in Leo, and it's on Regulus, if you're not feeling the fluidity of this connection, maybe there's something to be said about the connection. Superficiality, catering to extremism here. It's definitely a week to stop the extremism, stop the extreme validation, realize we're all human, and realize there's some psychopaths in society. I don't know how else to say it. And let's just go straight into the horoscope. Aries rising. Okay? This horoscope might take a while because there's a lot of things happening. We could just say that Aries rising, Sun in Virgo is transiting through your 6th house. So it's all going to be about looking for abundance with health routines, looking for protection with your health routine, staying focused on your health, and valuing yourself in your health. And you guys really need to focus on that. With Mercury in retrograde, it could just feel like there's just so much ego in what you're trying to do, but you're just trying to harvest what you know. And that's what the Mercury in retrograde is trying to point at. There's just so much ego right now. There's not enough revision of harvesting. And that's the contrary, is that people are out here starting wars over money. Remember, money's in Virgo. This is a time of spiritual shedding. So maybe some of you are not where you want to be, but you have to know once we get through this week, we won't ever be in this aspect again for a long time. So we don't even have to think about this energy, and we can just move through it and enjoy our lives. But sadly, this week, Aries, it's about Aries rising. It's about staying in groups that are reminding you how far you've come with your health. Journal your emotions with your health. Value how you do things with your health, and stick with the intention of the root for your health and work environment. And obviously at the same time, value your own ego. With Venus in retrograde in the 12th house, it's easy to be instinctive and destructive when you are thinking about your love life. But it's important not to, because Venus is retrograding your 5th, it's coming out of retrograde September 3rd. But really, Aries rising, it's having the patience to flush through the energy wipeout we're going through. It's an energy wipeout, Aries rising. So you have to prepare, get really comfortable in balancing your fire aspect, because Mars is in Libra. And Mars in Libra is all about balance. So we're bringing justice to balancing Aries rising today. And that really is about learning from your past mistakes. When it comes to relationships, planning for budgets in your partnerships, and having a line in how you see your business relationships, how you see your friend relationships, and understanding that there are bad people in this world, in the field you're working with, even in your business partnerships, and learning how to bring protection with how far if you're a business partner, how far you deal with the things your other business partner should deal with. Don't be too quick and hot-tempered. Aries rising this week, September 1st to September 7th. It's very contradictory here, and these are energies that are beyond human consciousness. This is not something the human race needs to worry about. It's something that the human race needs to be aware of. We are just going through it. For Taurus rising, the sun in Virgo is transiting your 5th house. So the themes will be this week all about abundance with love, being careful and overindulging maybe in sweet foods, Taurus rising, and finding the root of why you can't really enjoy yourself with your creative process of this week. Obviously, be careful of shady people and their intentions if you guys are expanding into your love life, because it is Mercury retrograde in Virgo as well. And it's really important for you guys to stay focused and down to earth. Value yourself in these, in your creative process, and keep moving. For Taurus rising, Mercury in retrograde will be coming direct September 15th, and Venus retrograde in Leo will be coming direct September 3rd. Yes, there are other retrogrades that I didn't want to talk about, but of course, Neptune's in retrograde and other signs are retrograde, but this horoscope is mainly focused on Venus, Mars, and Mercury, because I needed to keep it condensed and focused. I think a lot of us on a personal level are affected by the sun, Mercury, and Venus, and Mars. And so many of us get caught up in Pluto and Neptune and Uranus, and those are just too far for us to connect with. Those are generational energies that are used to wipe out negative energies. Not on a personal level. Don't try to confront these big energies. They're too big. By the time you've confronted it, your whole timeline's over. There's no point in going that far off the human level. There's no need. You're a human. You're here to sleep, eat, create, and wrap up that day. Don't get so caught up in trying to be the biggest, baddest wolf to truly overtake everything. Because you're going to be so drained, Taurus rising. This week specifically, Sun in Virgo, like I said, is transiting your 1st house. Mercury in retrograde in your 5th house in Virgo. It's really just about, understanding your ego and your love life, your ego and your creative process. For some of you who have children, your ego, how you're involved with that, and realizing this week is just a mess for ego. There really is no time for ego. All I see this week is energy. And it's you have to realize on a much huger level, the earth is going through new energies, and you need to ground yourself. Ground your ego. Value your ego in your love life. Value your ego in your creative process. Stay in groups that remind you of why you do things you do, with your love life and your creative process. And also, understand how your ego needs to journal the process of everything you've been feeling in your creative process so that when Mercury goes direct, you can remember what happened. I have a feeling that when Mercury goes direct, there will just be so much energy of needing to move forward. You might forget things here, Taurus rising. So journaling could really help. With Mars and Libra transiting your 6th house, it's through the 3rd and 7th degree. We'll be moving 4 degrees this week. That's pretty quick for a Mars sign. As you can see, Mars is pretty quick and Mercury in retrograde is also quick. This tells me this is a week, red flag week. Just be really, really, really careful. Mercury is moving like 7 degrees. So that kind of tells me like Mercury's moving back. The fastest thing that's happening in the atmosphere right now that's affecting us, our human consciousness, is that Mercury's moving right back. And so that can tell you how you're with nitpicky Mercury and Virgo, but also the intelligence of the harvesting. Your ego's totally intertwined in this element of wanting to move forward because it's semi-sextiling Mars and Libra, but realizing Libra is trying to bring justice to situations that involve other people because it's Mars and Libra. And that's why this is such a controversial time. You can't really move forward in this atmosphere without knowing that there's someone else who's trying to help you here at Taurus rising. There's someone here trying to assist you, and they're trying to assist you with your health, your work environment, your work routine. And you guys are lucky because you have this great Mars and Libra energy that's trying to bring justice, but this Mars and Libra is in detriment and is trying to say, hey, I might need a little help with my work environment, my routine, and my health. And there's no shame in that. It's not in retrograde, it's fully direct. So it's like just this feeling of just channeling the drive directly. But because of Mercury in retrograde in your 5th house, it is a bit of an annoying semi-sextile of you can't really move forward without the assistance of someone else. I see this week for all 12 signs as a kind of stagnant, we can't really go too fast because it's just not safe until we get Mercury fully out of retrograde and Venus fully direct. Even when Venus goes direct September 3rd, it's not going to be at its regular speed for the next few weeks. So with Mars and Libra, it's going over 4 degrees, and these are just for Taurus rising. It's really like learn from your past mistakes and take time to sit and chill when people aren't responding at work, or when people aren't responding to your, like, how you intend to have your health. Because, like, it is moving really quickly, which tells me the ego energy is really high. The drive is really high. But Mercury's in retrograde and Venus is really in retrograde. So Venus is really slowed down and Mars is really heightened up. And this is really a time of like accidents and things going wrong and a lot of ego trips because Venus is so slow. So the planet of love and beauty is not even at her full effect and the ego is so driven up. Let's move forward to Gemini rising. The sun in Virgo is transiting your 4th house. So for Gemini rising, I see this week about, looking at your soul tribe and feeling abundant about it. You're kind of like noticing you feel this love in your family and your soul tribe and your soulmates and your heightened intuition, but you're learning how to protect yourself from skeptic behavior or skeptic energy with your heightened intuition. And even some of you Gemini risings are dealing with skeptics in your family of what you do, of your job, of how you choose to express yourself. And that really can be triggering with the sun in Virgo transiting your 4th house. But it's also Mercury in retrograde on here on top of that. Retrograde in your 4th house. So it's all about this feeling of, your ego is just so intertwined with this revision of like how you've chosen your soul tribe, and like you're valuing the people you've chosen to put in a high place. But the thing here, Gemini rising, is Mars is in Libra. Same situation here, Gemini rising. Mars is in Libra and it's transiting your 5th house. So For some of you, you're dealing with this revision of like your ego being so intertwined with your family. Maybe some of you want to like do something that's out of the box or different or something that's really cool. But I see a lot of you Gemini rising needing to work with someone else to really achieve that vision because it's too difficult alone. I feel like a lot of these signs, these zodiac signs, sorry to make it so big and generic, will be having to deal with having to work with someone this week because of Mars and Libra. It's the sign that is in detriment. Mars is in detriment. Libra needs someone else to balance the intellect when things get so heavily emotional. And that could be happening in your love life. You're a Gemini rising. Venus is in retrograde till September 3rd. And then after, we're going direct in Leo in the 3rd house. So Venus is completely stopped. So Venus in Leo has stopped, and that's in your 3rd house. So some of you have just stopped communicating, stopped interacting because you're going through the revision of like how you communicate, how you are with your siblings, or how you are even in short distance travel and localization, of short distance travel. And that's really bringing this effect of, you're going deeper inside, Gemini rising with Venus. So that will be exciting to see the horoscope for next week and how it chooses to develop September 8th moving forward when Venus is at her regular speed. Did we talk about, yes, Mercury in retrograde? Yes, going retrograde in your 4th house and how that's all about just staying in groups that remind you that your soul tribe is there for you when things get rough. Gemini rising. Moving forward to Cancer rising. Sun in Virgo is transiting your 3rd house. And Mercury in retrograde in Virgo is moving in your 3rd house as well. Venus in retrograde is in your 2nd house in Leo. And Mars in Libra is in your 4th house going direct for the next 4 degrees. For Cancer rising. Sun in Virgo transiting your 3rd house. Wow. Jesus Christ. Cancer rising. Out of all the signs, I'm sure you know that Virgo is very busy. It's mutable earth. But with the Mercury in retrograde, you really have to be careful at how you're trying to project yourself because your everybody's ego is so intertwined right now. And being a Cancer rising, you could be overly sensitive about this feeling of wanting to have really romantic communication or really wanting to have a communication that's like super, super concentrated, but there's just no time this week. It's really valuing your ego and how you choose to project yourself in these conversations. And with the Sun in Virgo here, it is telling me that, you will have abundance of communication. It just might not be the communication you want. You do have to stay focused and down to earth and value yourself in communications, in short distance travel. And there you'll feel a lot better. As far as Venus in 12th in retrograde, Venus in retrograde in Leo, and that will be in your 2nd. A lot of you guys are going to start taking better care of yourself after September 3rd when you will be channeling Venus in your 2nd house. So you will be validating yourself, and that will be really gratifying, and taking the time to validate yourself. But it won't be a while because even when Venus in Leo goes direct, it will still be slow. Venus is stopped this week in the 12th degree, so it's really, really just about understanding what the retrograde had taught you, because when it stops, it's stopping for a reason. It's not stopping randomly. It wants you to get your attention to say, what is truly going on? What was truly going on so I can move forward in my most authentic, confident, prideful way and how I value myself. When Mercury is going retrograde in your 4th house, we already talked about Mercury going retrograde in your 3rd house. So Mars goes Libra. When Mars is in Libra, right. When Mars is going direct in Libra in your 4th house, that's when you have to realize that it's okay to say, let go, and bring in that sort of truth with the Justice card in Libra and be like, let go of some family, because it really is unbalanced perspectives and it's really unsafe at this point for some of you Cancer rising. I don't see you guys going back to this family. I don't see you guys wanting to associate with this family. And because it's Mars in Libra, you need the validation of someone else giving you back that to you. Sometimes I could see Cancer rising this week going through these low moments of like, I really, really don't like that person, or that person I was friends with, or that person that was brought to me by my family, or a person that was in my soul tribe. but I realized that the universe had split us up for a reason, and that reason needs to be validated by someone else because it's Mars and Libra, and Mars and Libra is a balance beam, and it does need someone's intellectualization of the situation to bring you back into lighter states with your drive. Other than that, I feel everybody's going to be weighed down by something this week until they open up and talk about it, because with that opposition to Chiron, it is about the spiritual growth in the situation. I don't like going into asteroids, so we won't do that. But for Cancer rising, let people go. For Leo rising, the Sun in Virgo is transiting second house. So this week is really about having the abundance with your value system, being careful with overindulgence with your money, finding the root of why you can't value yourself, looking for protection and valuing yourself, and staying focused and down to earth. Do not go too fast with your money here, Leo rising. Mercury is going retrograde in your second house, which is telling me Mercury is going the fastest in the atmosphere right now. It's telling me that your ego is so intertwined with how you're making money, with where the money's coming from, with your value system. It's just good to take it easy this week, Leo rising, and just try to be creative with whatever you know. You need to work on sacralization of everything that's happened with Mercury and Virgo, because you need to value your ego of knowing right on the minute of what's happening. Because other than that, any other sign, I couldn't tell them yes or no or blah, blah, blah. But with Leo rising, I know that you have to value your ego. I know that you have to realize that there are people here supporting your journey with the Mercury and Virgo in retrograde that are going to be validating your value system. And with Mars and Libra, right? With Mars and Libra, it's going to be all about communicating your value system to these people. And that's when you feel like the energy's moving, because third house is all about short distance travel, siblings, psyche. That's when you feel like things are moving. So I feel like with Leo rising, you may feel like there is just injustice happening. You may feel like your psyche is showing you all the injustice and all the negativity. But you have to learn how to plan with other people. Have a line in your relationships and friend relationships. Know that there are people who are here to help you, but you have to communicate. And that is growing the spiritual growth of your belief systems with opposition to Chiron, the asteroid, and being like, I'm going to communicate and get myself out of deep waters with Neptune in your 8th. I'm going to communicate. I don't want to be just a painting in a museum. I want to be a human being. I want to be able to interact and see what other people are doing. I want to be active, but this is not the week that the energy is going to be easy to move with, because Mars is moving too fast. When Mars is moving this fast, you might just get the complete opposite with Mars and Libra when it's moving too fast. You might just get the complete opposite to bring in justice to what's right. That's the thing with Mars and Libra, is that you're so balanced and cooperative with this energy, but then you're brought the complete opposite to bring justice to a situation that was 10 times worse than the situation at hand. That's the kind of quantum leaps that can go with this kind of Mars rushing through the 4 degrees, and because Venus is not here to balance it, which is again agitating our ego, because Venus has stopped this week in your sign, Leo rising. So like a lot of you are going through the revision of getting out of vanity. And I've seen a lot of Leo rising get out of vanity and realize, okay, yeah, like if I was just a blank piece of paper, would I act this way? I'm sorry, that's such a weird interpretation, but you have to start thinking of your life as chapters you can write. And when you write these chapters, it looks a lot different from when you look at your body and your physique, because these chapters are spirit. We're going into high spirit mode, and the vanity is just not going to cut it. There is just no room for it. Mars is moving too fast into bringing justice into situations that are 10 times worse than the situations you're going through. And you're going to have to sit there and watch it. And people are going to communicate to you about it. And you're going to have some kind of awareness of who you are on a deep level with Chiron in 9th. On your belief systems, what do you believe to be the right answer? So that is just a really intense positive thing for Leo rising, is you have Chiron in the 9th. So like you already have a backup plan. Is a backup plan comfortable? Not always. But you have to work with the limitations, Saturn in your 8th, Some of you are going to have limitations with other people's resources, so you have to go into the dreamy Neptune in 8th, but it's in retrograde. So you're having to dig from the bottom depth of the ocean, fight for spiritual territory because you're Leo rising, and claim the territory without jumping too quickly into Mars and Libra, because those situations this is the kind of week where I see like ambulances rushing out. This is the kind of week I see fires, like literally situations that are 10 times worse than you think are even possible happening. And that's where you have to just like sit back and let this week go and just kind of claim your throne, Leo rising, and just believe that whatever Neptune in retrograde has done to you on a deep psychological level, and whatever the Venus retrograde has done to you, was to make you a better person, prepared for a 10 times more authentic life than you could imagine. You deserve to be a shining star, Leo rising, but it does take patience. Let's move to Virgo rising. So the sun in Virgo is transiting your first house. So a lot of you are having abundance with personality. People are coming up to you. You're magnetic. It's your season. Happy birthday, Virgo rising. A lot of you are going to go into this week, have to be careful with the indulgence of your personality because of Mercury retrograde, and realize you're being watched with Mercury retrograde, pretty much. And you need to find the root of why you can't be yourself in your personality. You can't blame anyone because that's just too much Neptune. And it's in retrograde. So everyone's bringing it to your attention that you're blaming someone else for your own problems, for your own negativity, your own negative outlook on life. For some of you, you're really careful. And as we get further into the week, it really is important about being careful of shady people, being careful of understanding people's intentions, and staying in the rule of who you are authentically. And that really does mean staying with the group of people who are validating you. And that's when we come in to the Mercury in retrograde. But until we get to the Mercury in retrograde, Virgo rising, stay patient with the energy. So because money's in your sign, you have to realize on a really true level, like in your soul, like who are you authentically, and stay focused and down to earth and ground that. Like don't go too fast, Virgo rising. Value your ego and don't let your ego be smashed by other people because you're being too empathetic. Like you need to come back and make it about yourself. So also Virgo rising, be careful with how you project yourself online because there are creepy people out there. And I just wanted to warn Virgo rising because the sun is in your sign. With Mercury retrograde, it really is about understanding that you're the sign of harvesting. You're the sign of you're extremely intelligent because you've harvested all this knowledge for survival. A lot of Mercury retrograde in Virgo is going to be how our egos intertwined with the revision of harvesting in general. Like that's the theme of Mercury retrograde. Not only is it the Virgo sign, every sign is having to deal with this ego revision in terms of how to harvest a more fruitful life. And that theme is very intense and very powerful. But it's very important to realize that to even go through this week, you're going to need to understand your energy levels. You need to understand who's going to bring you knowledge about being more serious in how to survive chaotic times, who's going to value your personality and your ego, and then journaling how you've changed as a person, and then getting your intention of how you're going to meet your most basic needs. And that's how I see Virgo and Virgo rising getting through this week. And I feel like through those things, you'll be fine. With Venus in retrograde till September 3rd, it's important to understand that like this will be in your 12th house. So some of you Virgo rising are feeling a little bit powerless in love, but that's going to stop. This is the last week where we're going to feel a little bit like, whoa, I'm feeling the sustained pedal of maybe a little powerlessness in this relationship. Maybe the relationship is not for me. Or maybe for some of you, it's you need to shift your attention on moving the energy to a more fixed placement until Venus goes into your sign. For some of you, I see having to alchemize that feeling of lack in the relationship or feeling powerless to feeling powerfully abundant and helping underprivileged groups of people, or donating to charity as an example, or volunteering, or doing justice work, or learning more about a subject that you felt like you didn't know enough about, that was really important to helping society progress in this oneness. Because the 12th house is kind of like this beautiful oneness, but it's getting out of the subconscious energy. So it's going to take a lot for Virgo rising to get that energy moving. And it is going to be like this for the week. But I do see September 8th, it gets a lot easier. For Mercury in retrograde, yes, like I said, it's till September 15th in your first house. And for Mars in Libra, it's good. The fastest is going to be moving, the second fastest planet in the atmosphere for Virgo rising, which is it's going to be moving 4 degrees this week in your second house. So it really is going to be attuning to those more subconscious subliminal energies and healing them, to then moving into the Mars in Libra second house, where you're then feeling like if you have energy to spare, then you take care of yourself even better. Like, that's the kind of energy I see, Virgo rising. So namaste, happy birthday, Virgo rising. For Libra rising, the sun in Virgo is transiting your 12th house. So with that energy, you're feeling that, like, for sun and Virgo transiting your 12th house, Libra rising are just going to be a little bit more tired this week. And then it's going to be like really understanding the abundance you have in meditation and yoga. Be careful what you overindulge in, like news, the media. That could be, some of you're going to like see something weird on the news and that's going to trigger you, but then you're going to realize that you're kind of having to shape your environment and look for protection with a healthier belief system while getting out of your subconscious mind. And that helps you stay focused and down to earth. So I see a lot of you doing a meditation for anxiety, or talking to a therapist about your anxiety levels, or doing an extremely creative project that connects you to a wide group of people. For some of you, I see, like, no matter what house you're going through, you always have to value yourself, and don't be caught in the tides of the 12th house of really feeling down on yourself. It's really about, again, with the Mercury in retrograde moving the fastest this week, it's more about understanding how far you've gone to create a happy life with getting out of your subconscious fears. And you should really feel proud of yourself, Libra rising, and valuing yourself and journaling and really meeting the root needs of not getting in those lower conscious states of fear, Libra rising. For the Venus in retrograde, so Mercury in retrograde's in Virgo in your 12th house till transiting your 12th house till September 15th. And then the Venus is in retrograde till September 3rd. So Venus gets out of retrograde on Sunday. So that's amazing. But Venus is still in retrograde fixed in Leo, like in the fixed sign Leo, and it's fixed on degree for 12 degrees. So it's really, 12 degrees. It's 12. The numeric value in astrology is the subconscious mind, but higher love. So it's really going to be this week of, I feel like for a lot of Libra rising, it's going to be like numerically, like you might feel like a group of people don't like you, or you might feel like you're not valued by this group of people, but it's like you have to yourself get out of the subconscious rut to have enough energy to connect with the 11th house. And then when you connect, you attain the higher love. But it's because it's the 12th house, because it's Venus in 12 degrees Leo, and 12 numerically rules the 12th house, it's important to realize, for some of you, it's just going to be getting out of these lower energy states with your friends, because it's fixed and it's stopped. Venus is stopped. It's not going to regular speed till a couple weeks from now. And so that's the sign you're ruled by. So of course you could feel stagnant and slow, but this energy is used for you to observe other things. It's not necessarily about you this week. It could be more about how the world is changing. I mean, 12th house is the collective. So I would be watching the collective and seeing if you're realizing how connected we are to the collective and finding yourself in a higher movement. Mercury, yes, is going retrograde in Virgo in your 12th house. And that's going to be all about, for Mercury retrograde, that's going to be all about, like I said, valuing higher love. Yeah, and I do think it's important to stay around people who value what you do, your profession, abundance for what you do, finding the roots of what you do, so like in your connection to the collective, and staying focused and down to earth, Libra rising. So value what you do to connect with the collective, and don't be ashamed by other people going through things. Like, don't let that get in the way, because you're supposed to continue doing yourself. With Mars and Libra in your first house, and it's going really fast, this tells me that you may be rushed into situations where you need to start caring for other people. Like, you would just be doing something for yourself, but all of a sudden there's just no time. There's no time. Remember, Mars is in the South Node. So remember, we might just be having this karmic relief of that people really need to hear from us, or people really need to feel like we're valuing them. And this week I see Libra rising just not having time to deal with stuff that's out of their physical capacity. I feel like you're going to just be bringing in wisdom and balance and helping people chill and helping people tap into their energy reserves and realize how much energy reserves they have. Things we've forgotten about as a human consciousness because of all this distraction and fear. And you guys are bringing back that balancing energy, and you have this wisdom. And that is helping other people draw a line with how far they get involved with other relationships. For Scorpio rising, the Sun in Virgo is transiting your 11th house. So it's just going to be a lot about, you guys are going to feel like you have abundance of friends, but you're going to start off the week being careful with how involved you get with certain friend groups, because there's going to be some shady characters in your friend groups. So then towards later in the week, you're going to start looking for protection and better belief systems in your friend groups. And then you're just towards the end of the week, you're going to be like, I have to stay focused. I have to ground. And that's when you start valuing yourself and your character development, because you're going to like have no energy for other people because Mercury's going retrograde in the 11th house. So that really is about, understanding like, that your ego is entwined with wanting to be, honest in these friend groups. But then you're realizing that people are going to start like thinking you're too honest in what you say. So then you're going to have to start relying on other people to kind of understand what you're saying without saying too much. And you're going to have to go back a little bit into the ego. And the ego here is going to help you. And that's when you start journaling and being more intimate with yourself. And that's where you feel like you can be authentically with yourself, but sometimes in your friend groups, you might say too much. With Mars going into Libra, so Mercury in Virgo is going into retrograde till September 15th, 2023. And then Mars in Libra goes direct in the 12th house. Sorry, Mars in Libra is direct, and it's in the 12th house this week. And it's going the second fastest planet after Mercury, 4 degrees. So Scorpio rising, be careful of how far you're going into the 12th house. This is not a placement that I think with this week is that you may be getting subconscious messages that you're going in the wrong direction. You may be getting people texting you and stuff saying, are you okay? Because people are just wanting you to be more present in your friend groups, in your dreams, and they don't feel like you're really like paying attention to what's happening in your life. You're kind of going too far into other realms, and people get worried about you, Scorpio rising. So you really have to pull yourself back and stop going into other realms. And that's when you draw the line and you're like, I can't go into other realms, because then something is going to be brought to your attention. You're going to need to respond. You might need to help somebody who's underprivileged this week. And that does make you feel better. And that does make you feel a lot safer. And that does make you feel like you have privilege. And that's what I love about this placement for Scorpio rising, is that even when you think you're going too far, there's always something to bring you back to the present moment, to bring justice, that your energy, your intensity can be used for something deeply healing. And that is what is kind of life-saving and beautiful about your sign, is that you're so intensely protective. but it's realizing there are people who don't even have bread to eat, don't even have houses to live under. And I could see some of you guys donating to some of those people. I could see you guys giving advice to a friend, and that just really shifting the situation and making people feel like they can open up to you. Scorpio rising. For Sagittarius rising, Sun is in Virgo, transiting your 10th house. So this week it's going to be all about bringing in abundance with your career, so it's going to start off about like you're going to feel like this abundance in your career. And as we go through the week, you're going to start having to be careful about the projection of what you deemed as abundance and feeling like you really can't be yourself in certain careers. So as you get further into the week, you're starting to realize that there is something going on this week. It is different. And yes, Venus has stopped, and we'll get into that later. But you're going to have to realize there are shady characters in your career. And you have to start understanding your intention, because that's what's blocking you from being in the authentic groups you need to be in. So a lot of you are going to be looking for protection in a healthier belief system in your career. And that's going to bring you down to earth. But it's going to be about valuing yourself here, Sagittarius rising, and not going into like career territories where you feel like people are just like making fun of you. And that's when you have to pull back and go into your energy specifically. And so because Mercury's in retrograde, this is already happening. You guys are already thinking about this revision of your career, and you're already thinking like you need to be in groups that are much more specific, that are reminding you how far you've come. Because there will be people who are going to be picking on you if you're not in the right groups. If you're thinking that you can just mutate and be a mutable fire sign and be in any other group, it's not going to work. People just want to be in their groups right now, and you need to find the groups you want to be in, because if you're trying to be in every other group, you're going to miss out the whole point, right? So that's just important to realize. Sagittarius rising. So I think it's really important to realize that there will be people who are reminding you of how to be a more serious character in your career and to survive the chaotic times. There will be universal intervention with you trying to be in groups you don't belong in, because you need to start valuing your ego and what that stands for. Trying to, put an arm into every cup and taste every cup and see which one's the best. You already know what group's for you. So you guys need to kind of journal the emotional process of why that group's important and get to the intention of how to strengthen that root connection. Here, Sagittarius rising. Mercury's in retrograde till September 15th. So this is the theme that you'll be working with. With Mercury going retrograde backwards 7 degrees, this is a degree where you have to deepen your understanding of like your career and how badly your negativity can affect your career. Because it's going right there. Because Mercury's coming back into retrograde to be like, oh, all the people you think you could get away with, kind of like cheating them or stuff like that. Well, Mercury's coming back into retrograde to realize, y'all, you can't really cheat us. We've noticed. For some of you, you've been really kind, and we have noticed, and that energy is definitely being mirrored back. So Mars in Libra is going direct. Obviously, Mars in Libra is direct, and it's in your 11th house, which is all about bringing justice into groups of people. So I think that a lot of you are going to feel this energy of like you need to be out there mingling, and then you're going to be seeing this kind of feeling of just justice and balance in your friend group. So that's really exciting. Sagittarius rising. For Capricorn rising, the Sun is in Virgo, transiting your 9th house. So this week with Capricorn rising, it is so important to realize that the Sun in Virgo, yes, is transiting your 9th house. So it really is about you guys understanding you have abundance of belief systems, being careful with overindulgence with your belief systems, understanding that Capricorn is so deep. Just understand that whatever you believe in this week, it might be questioned and by sketchy people, but by you being grounded and not maybe opening up to everyone about your belief system, you feel like you can survive. When Mercury in retrograde is going back in your 9th house, it is important to realize that there may be questionings of your belief system. People are going to be questioning your belief system more and more, because your ego is going to already intertwined of the revision of harvesting. It's already a deep degree, already a deep retrograde you kind of can't get out of. So you need to stay in groups that are reminding you of your belief system. And that, Capricorn, is not easy because you guys like to be alone and isolated. But then you start valuing your ego and opening up, and that gets easier to communicate your belief systems. And that's when you start journaling about your belief systems or doing things that remind you of your belief systems that help you get the root energy of why you do what you do. And that's really amazing. For the Mars in Libra going direct in for 4 degrees in your 10th house, it really is about understanding like how you feel in your career. It's not easy. You're about bringing balance to your career, and a lot of you will be seen for bringing balance to your career, and that's amazing. Capricorn rising. So it's going 4 degrees fast this week, so be careful not to get caught up in these energies, and learn from your past mistakes with your career. Plan for budget and energy, changes in your career so that you can understand that it really is about being a little bit ahead so you can prepare for these shady characters that might be in your career. Here at Capricorn rising. For Aquarius rising, the sun is in Virgo, transiting your 8th house, right? So this is all about Aquarius rising. Some of you are having abundance with how you feel with intimacy, how you feel with your joint resources, and that's really nice. Be careful with the overindulgence out of the need for expansion. It could lead to legal problems if you're trying to spend too much because Mercury's in Virgo, right, in retrograde till September 15th. Find the root of why you feel like you can't be yourself with your significant other this week, or find look for some kind of protection of what you have or already have, because there's going to be this energy of with the Mercury in retrograde in Virgo, it's already the energy of your ego's already intertwined with how much you've harvested. And that could be a real ego death for you here, Aquarius rising in your 8th house. So I want you guys this week to look for happiness and abundance and stay in groups that people are reminding you of why you were in this intimate relationship, why you chose to spend your money, and understand that you have to be patient and serious this week. And this is a huge character development for all 12 signs. I can't say not any sign can be goofy with the Mercury in retrograde. This is a very, very serious Mercury in retrograde. So you have to value your ego and really do take time to think things through. If you're going to spend a bunch of money, why are you going to spend it? And journal why you're going to spend it and get to the root of what you're actually looking for, because that could be really life-saving for you, Aquarius rising. So yes, then we have Mars and Libra going direct in your 9th house, which is going to bring in a lot of positive, exuberant energy. And that's really exciting. So for Mars and Libra in your 9th house, it's really going to be about understanding where have you tried to project your belief systems really hardcore on someone and found really strict, somebody pulling back really intensely. And realize that not everybody's going to agree with what you have to say, and that's going to be really uncomfortable. And have a distinct line with how far your business relationships can link up with your friend relationships, so that you can understand that you're not the same as everyone. There are bad people with extreme religious extremism. There are bad people with extreme homophobia, extreme racism. And realize that you as an Aquarius rising should bring some balance to the belief systems, because you have Mars and Libra here. So don't be too quick-tempered this week, Aquarius rising. Let's move forward to the last sign, Pisces rising. We have the beautiful Pisces rising. The sun in Virgo is transiting your 7th house. So this week, you're going to feel like you have an abundance of partnerships, abundance of business partnerships for some of you, an abundance of friends. But as we go further into the week, you're going to have to be careful of the need to overindulge for the need of expansion, because you're going to get to the end of the week and you're going to realize, I expanded my energy here. Now I have no energy because you didn't sit with that Venus in retrograde in the 12th house. Right? And that Venus in the retrograde in the 12th house is transiting your 8th house of the unseen, of intimacy, of other people's resources. So this is a week where I do see there can be an abundance of gain in other people's resources, but you have to kind of realize that it's still in retrograde. Venus has stopped. So once it goes forward, once it goes direct, that's going to be when you start racking up all of those other people's resources, start gaining all of those people's resources, start accepting other people's resources. And that's when you're going to feel adjusted to the new economy, like you can afford the things you've desired, and you're going to feel a lot better here, Pisces rising, after this week. With Mercury in retrograde in Virgo, retrograding your 7th house, it's really going to be about understanding like your ego is going to be so intertwined with what people are saying about you and other people's relationships that you're going to have to start being creative and bringing more abundance to your own happiness, bringing more abundance to your relationship with yourself. So that is going to be the depth of your soul here, because your ego is just intertwined with the revision. But your soul here knows that there are groups of people who love you no matter what you have, you know, and that application of becoming a more serious character this week is going to develop your character, and people are going to start to respect it and value your ego. And that's when you really have to, slow down and really value how you do things and take time to think and do things thoroughly. Because, like, there's going to be a jolt of emotion in your partnerships at times because it's the Mercury in retrograde and it's your ego involved and the relationship to other people. And that's really confusing. But the Mercury in retrograde ends September 15th. So that's really exciting. So just journal your emotions with other people, and that helps you get the intention of the root work in of like really what this relationship is about. For Mars in Libra, going indirect in the sign of Libra for the next week in your 8th house, it's really going to be about here, Pisces rising, learning from past mistakes in your intimate relationships so you can take a time to sit and chill and realize, wow, like learn about your language of how you've operated in these relationships. What did you really want in these relationships, and what did you get, and where did the relationships go after? I really do think this is a time for Pisces rising to start